Hey, everyone. Yes. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the College of Fine Arts Convocation. I am Harvey Young, Dean of the college. You can be seated. Congratulations, class of 2024. So I want to begin by talking a little bit about weather. It is, if you look at the weather forecast, the magic of Boston is that the weather can change and shift, and that's been the experience for many of you who've been here. And for those of you who've joined us via our online programs or here in person, I'm happy that you're having the experience of the challenges, the changes of Boston. So it's 56 degrees right now. It's going to be 85 degrees on Wednesday. And when you look to the weather forecast, there's a 47% chance of rain at 6 o'clock. So how does one prepare for 47%? But it's a joy to be here, rain or shine, 56 degrees or 85 degrees. We're going to have a party today. So today we gather in the Track and Tennis Center. It's one of the premier sporting venues for the international sport of professional track. And for those who are curious, just last year, and this is a factoid for you, the world record in the mile was set here in this room, in this building. Yes. So, for obvious reasons, this venue reminds me of the communal power of sport. And just like the arts, sports require a deep commitment, an enviable skill set, incredible personal resolve and resilience, and of course it demands being in person and in time together. And I've been thinking about sports recently because my first encounter with some members of the class of 2024 occurred through sport. So in a normal year, I host a breakfast to welcome the newest undergraduate class. However, in September of 2020, that breakfast joined a long list of events that the COVID pandemic had canceled. Proms, high school graduations, BU matriculation, and more. So bothered, frustrated by these cancellations, I decided that we needed to do something for those students who chose to study at BU in person. So I emailed members of the CFA team, like the folks who kind of create a ceremony like this, and I said, I have an idea, kickball. And as we tend to name things within the College of Fine Arts, so was born Kickball with the Dean. And you know how you send an email or a text to folks, and sometimes you're not sure how it's going to be received, and you sort of wait and you look at your screen, for a response, and I did that, and then silence ensued, and then finally, after some time, I got an email. It's like, Harvey, can you tell us a bit more about what you're thinking? But it was happening. And of course, if you think about that time of year, everything was complicated in summer 2020. Everything was hard, it required paperwork. So what we did was the College of Fine Arts, we rented out Nickerson Field, which is where tomorrow's ceremony will be for the large ceremony, the large commencement ceremony. There was a permit that was needed to be filed with the city for a special exemption. There were strict guidelines of masking, even though we were outside, of course, at the time. Everyone who registered had to commit to taking a COVID test within 24 hours, but it was happening. So as the sun rose on September 1st, 2020, we had our starting lineup, our anticipated lineup of folks who had signed up in advance. And that lineup included, on that day, Jack Dillon, Edward Sturm, Emma Weller, Jacob Schmidt, Jackson Pope, Frankie Otis, Angie Au, Trev Turnbow, Tommy Vines, Liam Patrick McCarran, E.J. Hansen, Matthew Began. So we had our team. And CFAers who didn't even sign up, they came as well. Brendan Hoy, CFA's Director of Undergraduate Studies, joined me in playing the game, and it was the first time that I had heard CFA students laugh in person since the university closed doors a few months earlier. It gave me hope. The class of 2024 gave me hope. It gave me a sense that I knew we were all going to be okay. This graduating class is exceptional and extraordinary. And that makes sense because you've been steeled in exceptional and extraordinary times. The COVID pandemic, which claimed 6 million lives, taught us how interconnected the world is. The national activism in the wake of George Floyd's murder did not limit itself to Minneapolis, but it swept across the US and across the Atlantic. And the conversations inspired by that activism has helped to establish anti-racist collectives here within CFA, SARCI, and SOMARI. Now, the intensity of activism, violence, as well as the pain of lives ended prematurely, has not lessened during your studies. There's the ongoing war in Ukraine, as well as the human suffering, kidnapping, and killing of civilians in Israel, and more recently in Gaza. There's the less covered tragedies, the ones that you don't get mainstream news coverage for, but I encourage everyone to expand their news feeds to not allow algorithms to create blinders for what you're reading and receiving. There is an extreme food shortage and hunger in Kenya, Nigeria, Ethiopia, and Somalia. There's surging gang violence in Ecuador and Haiti. There's the rollback of women's rights in Afghanistan, and more. It is the artist, the storyteller, who has the rare ability to help others to see the world, to see from another's perspective. It is the artist, the storyteller, who can access the depths of their empathetic attachment to others by putting the hard to describe in words, in image, in song. At a moment when societies around the world seem to struggle to even be in dialogue, it is the skill sets that you have expanded here at BU that are in urgent demand. There are signs of hope and progress. In your time at BU, we have witnessed glass ceilings being shattered. Boston elected its first ever female and Asian American mayor. Massachusetts elected its first ever female and the nation's only first openly lesbian governor. The United States elected its first female, Asian American, and African American vice president. And Boston University named its first president who is female and also a person of color. And I invite everyone to come back here in September for the inauguration of President Melissa Gilliam. So you have witnessed the world shift and change variously for the better and for the worse. And it's the latter that makes your ascendance, your emergence, your commencement so needed at this moment. As students at BU, you have performed on the stage at Carnegie Hall and Symphony Hall. You have seen 808 Gallery transition from a COVID testing site back into an extraordinary venue to showcase inspiring creativity. You have made theater of the highest quality in the Jewels, in Studio One, in Booth, and throughout Boston. So when I look back with awe at the things, when I look back at the things that when looking back on where things began, I am in awe at what you've accomplished. To think about that starting kickball lineup again, it triggers memories of excellence that I witnessed over the past 4 years. Emma Weller in Macbeth. Edward Sturm recording a podcast. Angela Au merging anime and DC comics in an amazing thesis exhibition which involved graphic novels and keychains. Tommy Vines creating a new movement vocabulary. Jackson Pope performing at Symphony Hall. This class is incredible. There are so many positive impressions that you have left on our community, and I thank you for that. So on this day, we celebrate your remarkable and ongoing journey. This ceremony is just a stop along the way, It is where we, your friends, your family, your fellow graduates, the entire alumni community, your faculty and staff can express our pride in you and our awe at what you've accomplished. So I'm going to pause one more time to allow this community of supporters, of friends, of chosen family to allow you to hear, to see, to feel their support. Congratulations, class of 2024.